Where'd my list go? I'm ready. Today I wanted to talk about some of the places you can sell digital files. If you are a designer of any kind, there are so many options for us. Are they all great? No, but you have options. So whether you're a newbie designer or you've been doing this for a while, I feel like there's always more things for us to check out and more things for us to learn. As I'm going through this list, if there's any websites you want me to dive deeper into or explain more or anything like that, if you have any tutorial requests, let me know. I'm always happy to help and I'd love to make more of the content that you actually want to see. So the first and most obvious is Etsy. Etsy is a great place to sell digital files. And the reason I'm recommending them now is based on my series of unfortunate events where I was getting fraud orders on Shopify. That topic is a whole different video. I have 2 videos on that. So if you want to see my original complaint talking about it, or if you want to see the update, I'll have them linked up here or in the description. It wasn't fun, but that brings me to my point about Etsy is I don't get any fraud orders on Etsy and I don't have to deal with that and worry about it. Everything is autopilot when it comes to Etsy. When it came to my Shopify website, I was having to do things manually. It no longer was passive. It was 100% manual. Had to be checking my website every single day, multiple times a day. That led me to rediscovering my love for Etsy and realizing that maybe it's not the enemy I thought it was. That's kind of extreme, but like, it's not so bad. Maybe I should give it another shot. The reason I love Etsy specifically for digital products is it's easy to list, it's easy for customers to download. My biggest complaint when it comes to digital files on Etsy is the file size requirements. You can upload 5 files, but each one needs to be under 20 megabytes, which isn't that much when you really think about it. I had a PDF I made today that was 22 megabytes. I've had so many bundles that I've had to like break into multiple parts and it's just, that part's kind of annoying. I don't love that aspect of things. I know the workaround for that is making a PDF with a link to like a drive or something like that so that people can just click the link and download. Still kind of annoying though. Another website you could sell on is Creative Fabrica. Creative Fabrica is a marketplace that sells fonts, SVGs, sublimation designs, and everything under the sun. Basically, if it's a digital file, they probably sell it. It is a little bit harder now to get seen on there because there's so many things, but they do have a huge customer base. It's kind of one of those things where it's like, why not try it? However, the caveat to this is that their biggest downfall is their payment structure. No one really knows how it works. All you know is you get money every month and that's that. But you're making pennies for your designs versus like a set rate like Etsy or every other website where it's like we take a fee of 20 cents or 5% or whatever. That's not really how Creative Fabrica works. Most of their customers have a subscription, and so you get a percent of a whole pot, I believe. Based on how many downloads you get compensated for that. It's confusing and I feel like the vagueness of it all kind of steers a lot of designers away from it and can make it seem a little bit shady because are they really doing what they say they're doing? Are they really paying you what you deserve? I don't know. Next up is Creative Market. I feel like this is the more elegant Creative Fabrica. This is the place where more established designers are going to buy products from. Everything over there is a little bit higher quality for the most part. Like, you can't just say that as a fact, but for the most part, everything over there is a little bit more for the, I guess, not the everyday crafter. You don't see a lot of SVG files over there. I've listed some, they don't sell. It's not really worth your energy to put SVGs in like cheaper products over there because they also have pricing minimums, whereas like other platforms don't really have strict minimums. But like for fonts or font duos, you're required to make them be a certain rate, which I guess is nice because then the whole platform as a whole is even, I guess, and no one's trying to undersell. I don't make a ton of money there. I also haven't listed there all year, so that could be part of it. Or my fonts are just like getting old and people don't want them anymore. Who knows? I do kind of have an urge to make fonts again, so we'll see what happens with that. Obviously, if I make fonts, I will be putting them on Creative Market because out of all the platforms, that's the one they deserve to be on the most. Similar to Creative Fabrica and Creative Market are some other marketplaces like Krella, SoFancy, and Hungry JPEG. Personally, I never found success on any of them, and I'm not on any of these websites anymore, but they are another option to have out there if you want to try them out. There are some designers who are having better success on those platforms than me. I just don't know if personally they are worth the energy for me to dive back into, so that's why I haven't really used them in years. Now the next 2 platforms you can sell on are a little bit different, a lot of bit different. They're not really a marketplace like the Creative Fabricas of the world, but Cricut and Silhouette are great options if they have submissions open and you can get approved. So I'm only putting it out there or not to make you jealous or frustrated that you can't get in, but just to kind of have that info out there so that you can check back in on it and see if they are accepting new designers. I know Cricut is not currently accepting new designers, and last I checked, Silhouette wasn't either, but I haven't checked in probably 8 months, so maybe it's changed since then. Now, the way these platforms work is totally different than the others because you are uploading directly to Cricut or directly to Silhouette. I know that there are people doing really well on Silhouette. I personally have no experience on that. I'm doing really well on Cricut in my opinion. Again, I don't want to pour salt in the wounds if you can't get accepted. Just know that they are out there and hopefully someday they will open up their submissions again. I would just say keep checking back on it. Similar to those is Canva. Now, I'm not a Canva designer, but I really hope I can be someday. I recently applied and I haven't heard back from them, so I will probably reapply again if a month goes by or something like that and I don't hear from them. I will probably definitely reapply with more templates maybe or more designs to show off. I made a portfolio page on my website to kind of show off some of the hand-lettered designs I can do, the doodles I can do, and some templates I have. So fingers crossed on that. I have no idea how the payment works for them, if it's good, if it's worth it. All I know is I want to try it, and yeah. So if you want to sell your SVGs or hand lettering or templates, then check out Canva. It's called like Canva Creators, I think. So if you Google that, you should be able to find the link to apply. If you're someone who makes teacher printables or resources or anything that a teacher could use, even if you're not a teacher yourself, you can sell on Teachers Pay Teachers. If you're a font designer, you can put your fonts on there because teachers need fonts. But also if you make other printables or resources or decor, like classroom decor or anything like that, even stuff for homeschooling moms, all that stuff can go on Teachers Pay Teachers. It's similar to Creative Fabrica and Creative Market where it's like a marketplace. I know you can put coloring pages on there, so that's definitely something I could work on because I have a ton of coloring pages that kids could use. If you make anything like that, definitely check them out. They are a little bit different of a marketplace because they don't just accept everything under the sun. It has to be something that like a teacher could use. So it's a little bit more niched down, but it's definitely a good resources for teachers and homeschooling parents to go to. If you want to have your own website, then I still do recommend Shopify, even though I've had issues with them. I do recommend Shopify as a web hosting platform. I think it's the best place to have a website if you have a lot of products. I love how you're able to make endless collections, endless products. There's so many apps you can download and customize the website to look how you want it to look. You have full control over everything. I like that you can make pages as landing pages, or like I mentioned earlier, I have a portfolio page on my website. I do like that there's a lot of functionality outside of just selling products that I've been able to get out of my website. So I have a landing page for my favorite coloring supplies, and that gets a lot of traction. Obviously, the biggest downfall was Shopify is you have to do the marketing yourself. However, that's also not a bad thing. Like you have Pinterest, you have TikTok, you have everything you can use at your disposal. I still do recommend Shopify, even though I had some issues with them. I still think they are the best. I still just love their whole platform as a whole. They are pricey, so you just gotta kind of pick your battles, I guess. If you create some freebies or anything like that, I like that you can have an email opt-in. Like there's just so many things you can do with your own website that you can't do with a marketplace. Definitely recommend it, but it's not for everyone. Another site that I don't see a lot of people talking about is Adobe Stock. You can put your photos on here, your videos on here, your SVGs on here. I've tested out like my clip art a little bit and photos, and surprisingly both have been used. Not a whole ton, like 6 downloads. The price per download was more than I was expecting it to be with a stock website. I guess I was expecting pennies because everything else is so cheap when it comes to stuff like this that I just was thinking this was not going to make me much money. But definitely look into becoming a contributor on Adobe Stock, and you could literally upload photos from your iPhone or your camera. You don't have to just do your digital files. If you have photos that you think people could use on their websites or things like that, then upload them. As for like the design part of things, I do see a lot of people doing like collections of design, so it'll be like a bundle of 20 PNGs or SVGs or something, and I wonder if that's what I should be doing because I've just been doing single ones. So I think maybe it'd be better if I grouped everything together. They might sell better. That's definitely something I need to consider. So far I only have about like 20 things up on Adobe Stock. I have like $8 pending or something like that. I don't even know. So not a ton of money has been made so far, but we'll see what happens. There are also print-on-demand sites like Redbubble and Society6. However, I think Society6 just did like a massive cancellation of designers. So if you weren't making enough money or anything like that, they cancel your shop. And I was one of the people who got their shop canceled. So they're trying to close down the spam, I guess, maybe. So if you want to sell in there, I think you now need to apply. Whereas before you could just open an account. I don't make a ton of money from print on demand. I don't put a lot of effort into print on demand either though. I think print on demand is kind of, it is what you make it. If you put a lot of effort into it, you'll probably see a lot more success than me. If you are a pattern designer or want to start making patterns, Spoonflower is the place to be. I love that they've made it pretty easy now to upload patterns and get them approved and ready to sell. And I love their design challenges. Have I done them recently? No, but last year I was doing a few of them. And I like that it gives you a little brief to work on your designs from there. You never know if they're gonna be a fan favorite or not. You're never gonna be in the top 50 if you never put up a submission. So I feel like if it's one of those things that you really want, then you should make it a goal to do a challenge every single month. I'll be honest, I go in spurts of really wanting to be a pattern designer and really wanting to get into that world and then never touching it again. I struggle with that so much. I'm sure that's hindered me a little bit. I'm sure that if I were to just stick with pattern designing for an entire year, I would see some payoff from that. I'd get better at designing. I'd get quicker at it. There's just so many things I like to make and I don't want to just do one thing, but I like having that option there that if I make a pattern, I can go list it on Spoonflower. I don't really put my patterns anywhere else besides Spoonflower because it just makes the most sense to put it there. I guess if anything, Creative Market would be the only other place I would consider besides my website. Etsy, I tried a couple years ago with that and never saw any like success with that. I think there's a lot of pattern shops doing really well on Etsy, but their whole shop is dedicated to patterns. So I would really need to make it my whole shop and not just one section of my shop. But at that point, I would also need to have a lot more patterns. So maybe that's a future thing. I'm still young, I can do it. I just, right now, it sounds exhausting. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is Amazon KDP. This is obviously not going to be for everyone, but I recently made a coloring book. It's actually sitting right here. And I got this printed and uploaded through Amazon KDP. It gives you a barcode and everything. I have a video all on the process of uploading to KDP if you need that. I also have a video on designing my coloring book and everything like that. You don't have to just do coloring books. You can do gratitude journals or anything really. But the other cool thing you can do is ebooks. So if you are someone who likes to make ebooks, there is Kindle Create, I believe it's called, and that's where you can upload it. Basically, you upload it to this little app and it makes a file for you that goes onto Kindles. I did this once and it's been a while since I've done it, but I think there's an option where you can say you only want it to go on like iPhones and tablets because then it can be colored. Like if you have graphs and stuff like that and you need it to be a PDF, I guess, more so, and not just like a Kindle ebook, like reading book. I know I am not making any sense, but if you only had like text, you could do it through Kindle, like the actual Kindle. But either way, this makes you the file that you can upload to that. I haven't tried it yet. I've been really nervous to do it because I am fearful that people are gonna rate it really bad or something like, oh, this wasn't enough info or anything. So I've been nervous, but I'm considering putting ebooks on there and just seeing how it goes. The worst that happens is they don't sell. Like that's literally the worst thing that could happen. Obviously this one is a super limited option. You either have something you can make for an ebook or you have like a coloring book or journal or something ready to go that you can make for Amazon. So those are all the platforms I wanted to talk about today. If you have any that I didn't mention that you enjoy using, leave them in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts. As for the platforms I did talk about, let me know which one is your favorite, which one's making you the most money, or which one you've never heard of and you want to try out. I'd love to chat with you about that. Like I mentioned earlier, if there's any of these platforms that you want me to dive into deeper and talk about more, or you have questions about them, let me know. I'm happy to answer those or make a separate video. I hope you enjoyed this video. I will see you next time. Bye.